All right. How y'all doing? Good to see you. Welcome back to Black Bear News, where everything is connected. We're live on YouTube, Rockfin, Callin, and now Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Live on X on my Black Bear News page. So you can watch me at one of those four places. And good to see you all. Wanted to thank Obsolete Optics for the donation on PayPal. I really appreciate you. Lou, I think I got you, Lou. Also for your donation on Rockfin. I think I got you yesterday. All right. I mean on PayPal. Let's see. Let me see. Okay. So people are here. And Rockfinners, what's up? How you doing? Good to see you. Thanks for hanging out. I see you. We're probably going to switch over to Rockfin eventually, or just off of YouTube. Just because eventually we'll get somewhere with that YouTube may not appreciate the conversation, but that's okay. No, it's actually not okay. It's actually horrible. It's actually horrific. It's actually, I don't know how many ways I can put it. I don't know, fraudulent, unconstitutional. Should I go on? Criminal. We there are lots of names for what's going on YouTube. It's going on other platforms too. Okay, I was going to start with this clip. This clip. I'm not. I don't want to spend too much time on this clip, but I was going to play this clip because the gentleman in the clip is actually describing correctly the situation that we have in politics and or what's going on with how things are being run. And I was going to play this clip, but then I noticed the guy behind him was just doing the weirdest stuff. So I'm going to draw your attention to the weirdest stuff this dude, or just the way this guy is acting, reminds me of that other video. Remember the other video I played with the weird lady who was like mouthing the words of the speaker in Congress? Yeah, I saw this video and I was like, oh yeah, what he's saying is, pretty right on. I think people might appreciate that. And then I was like watching the guy behind him. I'm like, what is happening? What the heck is happening? It's just the weirdest thing. And I don't really know. I can't really call it, but if you watch this guy's mannerisms, you have to say this guy is acting really bizarre. Like super bizarre. Like, why is he doing this? He's on camera. I'm not even going to play the sound. Just watch this guy's face to the left. What is he doing? The way that he's looking around and the way that he's looking at this guy, and then the weird laugh, and then like the laugh that he does. And this guy over here looks very uncomfortable. He's like, look at him. He's like, But this guy is just acting so strange. What is he doing? He's acting a lot like, yeah, no doubt, forcing climate info. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that's what it is, but it's just, it's just the weirdest thing. Anyways, you want to hear what he has to say? What he has to say is actually pretty good. Tennessee Representative Tim Burchett. I mean, I don't know. He's not necessarily confirming anything, but what he's saying is the things that he's saying are right on.
He's dead. This is about power. It's about control. It's about money. It's about greed. Because the American public would say, why are you covering this up? I guess you could say, why are they still covering up Kennedy, the Kennedy assassination? There's nothing there. I mean, it's been over 50 years. Everybody's dead. This is about power. It's about control. It's about money. It's about...
I mean, he said, why are you covering up the Kennedy assassination? So I guess that's what they mean by he's saying. But this guy, the way this guy is looking is just...
greed
is crazy
and corruption
to me.
To me, like
look at his eyeballs.
It's a disgrace. Because the American public would say, "Why are you covering this up?" I guess you could say, "Why are they still covering up Kennedy, the Kennedy assassination?"
And this guy looks so shifty. He's like, he keeps looking over at this guy. He keeps looking over here, going.
And corruption, and that's what runs this country right
acting
now.
Like what? Oh, I don't know if I should be here. I don't know what to say about this. I don't know how to feel about this. Like, is this? Anyways, I mean, what he's saying is true. It's about power, corruption, greed, etc. You know, it's why we're killing the planet for profit, right? It's not about anything other than power, corruption, greed. And the necessity to keep that power, that corruption, that greed going as long as possible. I don't know. It's just I just I saw him the way he's acting, and I was like, this is just weird. It's just weird. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know what to think about it. I'm not saying that, like, don't you find that strange? Don't you guys find it strange the way that guy is acting? You don't find that strange? I mean, what this guy is saying is extremely serious, I would say, and he's acting like it's a joke. That's what's weird to me. It's very incongruous with the things that this guy is saying, and he's acting like this is a joke, and he's like staring at him, and he's like looking at him all like weird. I don't know. Maybe I should just chalk it up to people are weird and let it go at that. What do you think? should I just leave it at that? I don't know why I spent so much time pointing that out, but I mean, I'm just saying, watch that video a couple times. Go on Twitter and watch that video a couple times and just tell me that's not the weirdest thing. Tell me that is kind of a strange way for somebody to act who's on camera behind somebody who's saying something that's very important. Like, you're acting like, and he's staring like holes into the back of his head. It's very, very weird. I don't know, guys. It just reminded me of that other video of the lady, of the marionette lady who was behind. I can't remember her name. He's a weird looking guy in the first place, but it just reminded me of the mannerisms of that lady that was behind, who was doing this with her eyes, and mumbling. I mean, it reminded me of that because the way he was like looking at him and then looking to the side and, like, what is going on? I know. I'm spending a lot of time on it. Net zero by 2050. So, Zeke, this is very hilarious. I spent a lot of time on that, but my God, it's just there are some strange things going on in the halls of power, right? You have incredibly geriatric people barely able to stand up and talk and walk, kind of being the front pieces for the whole thing. And then you have weird, strange, like a marionette people behind people when they're speaking. It's just the strangest things. I don't know. It's getting like weirder. Let's see. Andre says Sam lowered his prediction to 2050 down from what for the end? Was his prediction 2074 originally? Really, I would say that's a long time. 2074 sounds like a long time. Okay, so sorry. Let's get to this. Zeke Haasfather says, I count myself as one of those, certainly for ecosystems in some regions. But I think it's also quite possible to get global emissions to net zero before 2070 to avoid 2C warming. Zeke Haasfather is famously, a techno optimist, and he's also, one of those people that's like, yeah, we got this, guys. We're going to do it. Everybody get on the renewable energy train, and we're going to save the planet, and everything's going to be great. But this is kind of bizarre, right? Because aren't most net zero predictions are like 2050, and we're going to avoid 2C. But I mean, that's a long timeline, considering we've already hit 1.5C. Like, on the 1.5C, like on the thermometer, not, like theoretically 1.5. Like we're literally hit 1.5C. We're already at 1.5C. So we're already at 1.5C. It is 20. What's the year again? 2023. And you think we're going to stay below 2C for 40 more years? Are you 48 more years? Are you? I can do math. I promise. You're literally giving us 50 more years to climb 0.5C. That, my friend, is some high-level delusion. So I don't know. I don't know what, it makes me wonder. I mean, there's a spectrum. There's a whole spectrum of thought and ideas on, on all kinds of subjects. I know. But in the climate community, and somebody gave me props on the Twitter the other day, and I can't remember who, but I appreciate you. Somebody said, that I had pointed out that most people who understand climate systems are going more towards the Guy McPherson ideas about things than away from him. Like most of them are getting more radical, more doomer, if you will, more pessimistic. Most people who understand climate systems are getting more pessimistic. And yes, there are plenty of, I guess you would call them like middle of the road, media approved climate communicators who are given the, who are the people that are like, oh, Planet of the Humans, what a bunch of, who we got this, Even the guy who presented the hockey stick at one time is like, no, you cannot say that things are really bad. I mean, they're really bad, but, you cannot say that they're unfixable. How dare you? You wild lunatic. But Aaron K. pointing out net zero by 2050 will avoid 1.5 C, has moved to net zero by 2070 will avoid 2 C and will avoid catastrophe. What's next? Net zero by 2100 will avoid 3 C. It's unfortunate. I don't. My intention is not just to be, I actually am not a worst case scenario, right? There are many people who are more worst case scenario than me. But I will tell you that there's no way that we avoid 2C, and, probably for more than the next decade, right? If that's even possible. I'm not one of those like, we're going to see 8C by next year, 6C by next summer. No, I'm not one of those people. But golly gee willikers, we already hit 1.5C this year for, I think, 2 months. So we're already at 1.5C. We have already crossed the threshold. It is a done deal. It is, over. We're not going back. We're not getting cooler. There's nothing that's going to cool us down anytime soon. Nothing I know about anyways. And so I don't know how we avoid 2C in an immediate, a very near-term future, right? You could say, most likely 2030s. And a lot of people would probably tell you that's optimistic. A lot of people would probably say that is really, really optimistic. But I'll go ahead and put myself out there as a super optimist and say sometime in the 2030s we'll hit 2C. That's not good. That is still horrifically bad. Let me tell you. I don't actually truly believe that myself, but I'm just saying if I'm wearing the optimistic hat, I'll say 2C by the 2030s. That's still incredibly, horribly bad. Because once we get to 2C, it's not far from 3C. And, 3C is, if we're already seeing what we're seeing at 1.5, I can't imagine what 2 or 2.5 will look like. And 3 is pretty much the end of the road. So, that particular timeline doesn't sound so fun. And even to the most hopeful of hopeful people, that timeline sounds like, a horror movie. I'm sure it does. I mean, to most people on the planet Earth, that sounds like a horror movie. To me, that sounds like a horror movie. And that is that's just, I guess, looking at the timeline we have. As Osama pointed out just now in the chats, the current slope of warming is 0.24 C a decade. So that means in 2 decades, 2 C. That's the current slope. So if you're just looking at the trend line and going, yeah, it's going up here. It looks like it's going, up here. That's 2C by, in the 2040s. If you think we're going to stay at the current slope, if you think, well, everything is just going to stay just how it is, and, we're going to plateau somewhere, that is still bad. That's still bad. So I think we need a lot more reality, and we need a lot more truth in this conversation. And I know it's a scary conversation, and I know that most humans don't want to have that conversation. That's okay. I understand you. Kameshwari Kate on Rockfin says all a person has to do is open their eyes and hang out with a few trees in a few geographically different areas to become a complete doomer believer. Ding, ding, ding. Yes. I can tell you, yeah, right? You know, I've talked about this many times. I've talked about it many times in my city, and I'll repeat the story. As you know, tiring as it might be, tiresome as it might be, there are trees. There are trees that were, you know, until recently, bushy, you know, lovely green. We are very green. Where I live is very green. There's lots of trees, even though we live in a desert. Lots of trees here, lots of trees, and where I live, there are a particular tree that grows over, you know, roadways. There are a few roadways with these like big, lovely, you know, they cross the road and they meet each other in the middle, or they used to. They don't anymore. And so what has happened over the last, you know, this is what is, you know, real time evidence to me if something is really off is, well, we've lost a lot of trees. Even on the street I live on, there are multiple trees that have died in the last few years in the time that I've been here. And that will make you go, huh? Okay. Anyways, to get back to my story about the trees that are overhanging the roads, they used to be lovely, big, bushy, green trees that met in the middle, and we had a few hot years where all the leaves at the top of the trees fell off the trees, burned off. And what was left was green trees with these big, dead, like spiky branches sticking up out of the top. And I still see a few of these. So what the city did was go around and cut all the dead branches off the top. So it wasn't so like, so people weren't like, what the heck is going on? What the hell is happening to these trees? So people weren't like, what? They cut all the dead branches off, so the trees again look like little, you know, smaller versions of the trees that they used to be, but green, leafy, healthy. There are a few streets. If you you know, I pay attention because I know what it looks like. There are a few streets and few areas where they've failed to cut these dead branches off, and you have these trees that are, you know, very green kind of in the middle, but with these big, dead, spiky branches, leafless branches sticking out of the top of them. And the leaves have been, you know, burned off by high temperatures, UV, water stress, whatever it might be. So what's happening is these trees are just getting smaller and smaller, and every year they go around and cut all the dead branches off the top of the trees. And I see it happening. I noticed, and a lot of those trees straight up just died. You know, you go down the street and this hasn't been lately. It's been a little bit cooler here lately, so that's okay. That's, you know, a respite. But a few years ago, you'd drive down the street and you'd see the orange X's on multiple trees that were scheduled for removal. So, you know, that's just one point that I can actually see with my own eyes. Something is, you know, greatly amiss. Just one thing on top of the missing bees, the missing bugs, the missing sow bugs, the missing June bugs. Lots of critters that used to be prevalent that aren't anymore. And this year, until pretty late in the summer, there were no crickets. We are, you know, crickets are a feature here, and they didn't show up until August. There were zero crickets, and I was like, that actually made me quite frightened because I'm used to hearing crickets. I'm used to hearing crickets are just like a thing here. Anyways, I don't know how I got off on that tangent, but if you want evidence that climate change is real, just pay attention. Just like look at I can't even understand people that like are work on land or work in in the outdoors. I mean, most farmers will tell you like, yeah, something's off. Most people that work outdoors or work, in nature or work in the environment absolutely, positively understand that something is totally different. And then just regular old people will, kind of casually notice, like, do you notice that things are a little bit different? Yes, something is happening. And all the, denialism in the world, I don't know what else to call it. All the blaming it on the Klaus Schwab and WEF and the elites and saying it's in Club of Rome and telling you it's a big old scam and all that stuff won't stop it from happening, right? And probably won't stop you from noticing it. So you should probably just, we need more truth. We need more truth around this because this is the future and this is going to affect people, really negatively. And I think people need to prepare for it in at least, mentally. This is what's happening. And we really don't need people fighting each other over whether it's happening or not. Or whether the idea of taking care of nature is a cultish idea. I mean, it's just absolutely bonkers. Bonkers. I hear people saying it all the time. Did Steph C sent me a video? Steph C just sent me a video of like two guys talking about the World Economic Forum, they're going to roll out all these plans and this, But their language was so goofy. It was like, well, yes, it's, people who love the earth. It's like, okay, people who love the earth are in a cult. We live here. That's like saying like people that love their homes and like to take care of where they live and tidy up. Like, they're in a cult. They're the weirdest people. I mean, that's the bizarreness of the messaging. That's just how far out on the limb of lunacy you all sound when you're like, people are like the earth. They take care of the climate. They're in a cult. You are a lunatic. You sound like a lunatic. I'm not saying that everything you say is wrong. Like I listen to these people all the time because they have really good views on other subjects that I enjoy. But like when you say stuff like that, I'm just like, you're effing bonkers, bro. Because like if you can't see it, you are deep in denial. You are so deep in denial that you're like, nope, I can't see what's happening. I can't see anything. It's 88 degrees where you're at, Poppy. Yeah, that's warm in October. Yeah, we're going to hit the 90s this week. October 10th, we're going to be in the 90s. So that'll be just totally normal. Anyways. I mean, I want to hear, a couple of the people tell me, swear up and down, the people that are just like the climate cult people. I want you to tell me you don't see anything different. You don't notice anything different. You don't notice a lack of bugs. You don't notice. You live on the East Coast. You don't notice a lack of fireflies. The fireflies went from numerous to like, I thought I saw one the other day. And that's absolutely happening. I have seen that with my own eyes. I've seen the change with my own eyes. I used to visit the East Coast all the time. And I'd love to sing the fireflies. They were numerous and abundant, and I was like, wow, this is like magic. And then I noticed after a couple of years that there were less and less fireflies until it was like you never saw them. Tell me that's not weird. Tell me that's not called a change in the climate. Something has changed. I wonder what it is. I don't know. But it's cool. You know, ideological silos are really, really strong in a lot of people. Steve Austin posts this. You know, this is Indicators of Global Climate Change 2022 annual update of large scale indicators. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I mean, he's just saying, as usual, there are less than 20 years of emissions, that we have to play with to stay within any livable climate temperature increase. He said that's everything from infrastructure, emissions from infrastructure, new buildings, transportation, plastics, agriculture, etc. Shouldn't we start rationing now? Should we start making plans now? Or should we just let everybody run into a brick wall? Because that's totally anti-human. To just let everybody run into a brick wall. Like, no, don't worry about it, guys. It's not really happening. It's fine. We got it. 2070 or something. And then people just run smack into a brick wall that they didn't see coming. You think that's a nice thing to do? You think that's fine? Sure. North, what's up? How you doing?
Yeah, man. And when they do start to notice these problems, these changes, and they have nowhere left to run, where they turn? Weather machines. That's their rationale for why things are happening. So they won't believe in the crazy science, but they'll believe in weather machines and, like said, the WEF going out of their way. It's flat Earth level stuff.
I mean, the thing is that I actually think that they have some pretty advanced technology. I just don't think that that's what this is. And I don't, I think it's just, I just don't think that's causing, I don't think that's the cause of everything. Right. I mean, I do hold some radical views on that, but
if there was any weather machine that was strong enough, or a series of weather machines that were strong enough to create the kind of events that we're seeing, it would be so noticeable you couldn't hide it. Like it's not something that you could do in a clandestine manner.
I mean, sure. And well, my argument around that too is that it takes a lot of energy to create the conditions, right? I mean, the storms aren't happening in a vacuum, right? They're happening in conditions that propagate these storms, right? Like there's warmer sea temperatures, there's more water vapor in the air, right? This is all, it's like all of these things kind of fit together in a tidy package, right? Where you warm the earth, this is what happens, right? You warm the earth, this is the effects you get. Like that's just, and scientists have been calling this for like decades now. And now we're seeing the effects. When you warm the earth, these are the effects. It's not like super difficult to understand. But my argument about, if it's okay, let's say somebody has a doomsday machine, Dr. Evil, and he's controlling the weather. Like why would you can't, it's like kind of it takes so much energy to change the earth and on such a massive scale. Like you couldn't just roll that back.
Exactly.
And I think their idea around it is like, well, if they just would turn it off, then everything would be okay. And that's, also not a lack of understanding of climate science, right? Like climate science is the idea that we have changed the energy imbalance of the earth. The earth is in a state of imbalance and energy imbalance, and it took decades to get here. Like, that's a massive amount of energy, right? Decades, not just like, pew pew pew, laser laser laser, not like, or radio wave. Like, we didn't, that's a certain amount of energy, but like the energy to change the entire earth system is massive, and it took decades to get here, right? You're not going to just turn that off. And if it was, yes, it is something we created. Actually, I don't think it was intentional. I think it was like accidental, or the results of greed and indifference. But you don't just rewind that. So that's the idea that like somebody is making all this happen doesn't really make a lot of sense, because if you destroy the ability to grow crops, that kind of affects you too, right? It just doesn't make a lot of sense,
Absolutely.
Anyways.
And you couldn't hide it. It'd be impossible to hide.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's just like, it's not, you don't have to, you're really doing a lot of work explaining away the things that climate scientists have been predicting for a long time. They predicted it, here it is now, and now you're going to be like, no, it's something else. It's like, okay, all right, fine. If that makes you feel better, makes you sleep better at night, fine. Anyways, man, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
See ya.
I gotta get next. I mean, I do think they have. There's not think. I don't have to think. I know they have geoengineering is available to many countries, right? They have the ability to turn on the rain. They have the ability to turn off hail. And they're absolutely using these, create rain. Not just those things, but there's lots of other things going on too. I don't doubt. I'm just saying, to create a situation where the entire planet is heated up by a number of degrees and then cause, all of these knock-on effects is just an amazing amount of energy. And you're not going to just turn that switch off. You're not going to just rewind that. Oh, well, yeah, turn the geoengineering off. All right, everything's better now. Great, thanks. It's fine. Actually, it's probably going to get worse. I do think that I do think that they're like blocking some of the effects of climate change, or the lack of ozone layer or whatever. And as we know, right, what happens, when you shut emissions off, you turn off the global masking effect, right? Which is kind of the same thing as geoengineering, right? So if you turn geoengineering off, you actually would get even worse weather, right? Because I actually think they're already doing the things that they say they're going to do, right? Spray sulfur in the air, cover, put clouds up, keep things cool. They're already doing that. So when you turn that off, what you're going to get is like, oh, well, we've been trying to cover it up. We've been trying to cover it up for a while. If we stop doing it, then the temperature of the planet spikes even more. So those are fun times to think about, right? I mean, and these are things that, well-respected, well-regarded, this is not tinfoil hat stuff by any means. This is not, weird conjecture. So, you have well-regarded, grandfathers of climate science, James Hansen talking about the global dimming effect. It's a big point for him to bring up, is that when you turn this off, when you turn these emissions off, what you're going to get even more. So if there is geoengineering going on and you turn it off, everything doesn't go back to normal. Especially if it's masking actual climate change. What you get is what you get. You get a lack of particulates in the air, masking what you thought formerly was the average temperature of the planet, or masking the effects of the heating we've already created, is a better way to put it. Anyways, and on and on and on and on. Lee Camp the other day had a really somebody was Lee Camp is one of the a really great caller outer of the, you know, the powers that be. But he also understands that climate change is a thing that's happening, and he's, you know, somebody called in, or somebody left a comment during his last one of his last live streams. It was like, climate. I like you, dude, but but climate change is a hoax, and he was just like, shut up. There's like 99. There's no credible papers. There's no credible scientific papers out there or studies out there that that disprove climate change. There just aren't. And you can't conflate it with COVID, because COVID is different. It's a different thing, right? There are studies, and we could talk about all kinds of other subjects, right? We won't just go there, but like, there are people bringing credible science to other subjects, studies, papers, right? They're bringing science to these things that they're bringing up, but there isn't science to the idea that climate change is a hoax. There just isn't. There isn't anything credible. There's just people going, I don't know, it's not even true, dude. Like, that's all they have to say. No, it's just totally a hoax. And they're like, got him. Like, that wasn't science, bro. Bring me a paper, bring me a study, bring me they signed a bunch of weird dudes that weren't climate scientists. Like, I'm weird dudes. Just a bunch of people that aren't climate scientists signed a paper like the Barrington Declaration saying climate change isn't real. Okay, if you look at all the people that are signing this, they don't have any standing. They don't have any standing to say what they're saying. It is not the Barrington Declaration. Just not even on par with that. You don't have any studies. You just don't have it. You don't have any credible scientists going like, yeah, no, totally. You have like a couple of like people that are consulting like oil companies and consulting like people that want to keep building stuff on, oh no, it should be, climate change just really isn't that big of a thing. Or it's happening, but it's just not that bad. Like, which, again, you can choose any data set to prove what you want to prove, but you can't prove that climate change isn't, real with an actual, like, a bunch of really well-regarded climate scientists got together and disproved the theory. No, they're all, the people that understand it are like, oh shit. The more they understand it, the more they're like, oh shit. It's worse than they're trying to tell us that we have till 2070, we have till 2100, we have till 2C is good, fine, totally fine, and it's going to happen like 50 years from now. Like, those are the people that don't even understand what they're talking about. Like, those are the climate scientists that don't understand what the F they're talking about. The people that understand what the F they're talking about are like, whoop, yeah, we're donezo. We are screwed. We got to just figure out how we're going to live through this, because we're not stopping this shit. Like, those are the people that you want to listen to and pay attention to. And I hope I'm wrong. Please prove me wrong so I can just be like, I'm cool. Great. Awesome. You mean we just keep on going? Everything's going to be fine? We're going to keep on going? Everything's fine? Please let me know. Show me the study. Show me the data. Show me the evidence. Show me this, something that will convince me that, like, oh no, it's going to be okay. Fine. Oh, awesome. Great. I will end this channel tomorrow. I'll end it tomorrow. Never come back on YouTube, and I'll just be like, peace. But you don't have it. You don't have anything credible. You have nothing credible. And I keep on wondering why you keep on insisting on saying this stuff. I'm live on X, by the way. If anybody wants to watch me on, or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Got lots of people watching on YouTube, though, and Rockfin, so that's cute. That's cute. That's cute. Oh, man, it's already getting close to the end of the show. Getting close to the end. Please, man, if some, does it mean that, like, I don't think that the elites are planning something wacky in the face of this catastrophe? Like, they're not planning on, riding their positions of power all the way down? Oh, I totally believe that they're going to do that. I'm on OnlyFans too. If only. Yeah. Oh, this is from Poppy. So demand for clean energy industries just for battery-related minerals will explode. Lithium between 13 to 42 times the demand. Graphite between 8 and 25 times. Cobalt between 6 and 21 times. Nickel between 6 and 19 times. Manganese between 3 to 8 times. That's a lot of times. Some good times right there. Yes, yes. Please like up the show if you're wherever you're watching it. I know somebody's watching me on Twitter. But I'm also sure they don't want anybody watching me on Twitter. They don't want anybody telling you. They really don't want people telling you what's really going on with the climate, because that would be the end of speculation. It would be the end of, the economy if everybody understood, if people en masse understood what was really going on with the climate, it would be the end of, like, the economy, because there would be no faith in it. It would be the end of futures, right? It would be at the end of oil futures. It would be the end of, because people invest in the future of the economy, or the future of, development of the economy, loans and right, construction, and if everybody understood that, there was a finite amount of time to get get in on the gold rush, or on your speculation, well then, there would be no confidence in it, and that would be the end of it. And then we're already teetering on the edge of global collapse, economic collapse right now. And they want to delay that for as long as possible. By the way, did y'all see this about the Wells Fargo executive that threw himself off a building? This can't be a good sign. Wells Fargo executive Greg Beckett jumped to his death from bank's Delaware offices, as families say he'd been stressed about work and taking meetings as late as 11 p.m. Uh-oh. And, people are like, yeah, this is kind of what happens when not that bankers don't mysteriously fall to their deaths or throw themselves off of buildings, every once in a while. That kind of has been happening for the last few years, but it doesn't look good. The economic indicators are not looking good, guys. Not looking good. And someone I respect their view on where the stock market is going, is predicting Tanksville by Thanksgiving. or Thanksgiving. Didn't see that one coming. Anyways. So, hold on your socks or whatever. All right. Really good ways to support this channel. If you like this channel, PayPal.me/Kevin Sandblum, Venmo @Kevin Sandblum, Cash App @Red Llama Music, BuyMeACoffee.com/Black Bear News, and you can follow me at Black Bear News, the number 1. That's on Twitter, and I'm live streaming every day there as well. That's happening. It's a thing. It's a thing now. Now I'm going to stream to Twitter until I can't stream no more to Twitter. And yeah, you can, wherever you want to watch the shows, you can go over there and watch the rerun on Twitter. I feel like it's, who knows? Maybe more accessible, but I'm accessible all over the place. Or you can listen to it as a podcast on Callin, whatever you want. You couldn't find my live stream on Twitter? Just go to Black Bear News, my page. Yeah, no, I believe they're suppressing it because, yeah, they don't want anybody watching this. Hail to the no. Anyways, y'all, I think that'll wrap it up for me. There was so much more to talk about, but I am nearing the end of my time that I have with y'all. Let's see what else. What other? Oh man, I want. This is horrible. This aquarium in the Miami area closed down, and they left a whale and a dolphin to die in the tanks. Is that not horrible? And I guess a guy with a drone saw that the dolphin was still alive, and he called them, and they hung up on him and just acted like, there's nothing to see here. Miami-Dade Sea Aquarium closing down leaves an abandoned dirty tank with 1 orca and 1 dolphin inside to starve to death. The orca didn't make it. The man flew his drone over the tank, recorded the abuse, and then calls the sea aquarium, and he gets hung up on.
I think you can just follow our social media.
You guys don't really post about it on social media. It's kind of hidden and you're closed off. Yeah, I'm just calling about the dolphin you guys have in the dirty tank. You guys have already killed the orca, and I'm trying to see what your plan is with this dolphin, or can I have him and set him free?
I'm sorry?
The dolphin? You know, the one in your tank that's shut down?
Just straight
Hello,
hung up
my
on him.
Aquarium, how may I help you?
Hi, I called a few minutes ago. I was trying to talk to someone about Lee.
Okay.
I was just wondering what's going on with it.
If you would like any updates or anything like that, you can just follow our social media. We do give updates.
You guys don't really post about it on social media. It's kind of hidden and you're closed off. Yeah, I'm just calling about the dolphin you guys have in the dirty tank. You guys have already killed the orca.
Man. All right. Yeah. Way to go. Way to go. Way to go. All right, guys. That does it for me. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. I'm going to see you tomorrow at the regular time of 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And until next time, peace.